evening, good afternoon, good morning, opinion, folks. Your man, always George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk, coming to you live on YouTube. Well, folks, it's summertime. Summer is just started, and we're just a few days away from the 4th of July weekend. It's coming up next week. Also, we have some shows coming up also that following week, and just I hope everybody enjoyed the upcoming holiday. So, folks, as me being a content maker, I often want to expand my interests outside of not just organizations like NBC and IFBB, and also other organizations like OCB that are out there. We have a young lady who just recently did an interview with my man KL the Wanderer. You want to check out the interview? I'll leave a link in the description of this file. You can check it out and you watch it. Her name is Natasha Tackett. Is that it?
That's it.
All right. She is a natural competitor. That means she don't take the steroids and she's natural. And also she's a model, she's a mother, and she's very passionate about the sport of bodybuilding. So welcome, ma'am, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Well, as you know, she's also a Southern lady. I'm a Southern gentleman, so we're gonna keep this very I don't know. We're trying to be within, because I gotta be, the other guys sometimes I can't control. They'll come out anything, So Natasha, I just want to tell you, I think I'm gonna say this: you are beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
I'm sorry about him. I gotta see. So, ma'am, what got you started in this sport, as I call it, muscle and masculinity? Please share.
So I started working out in 2020. Got very little experience in the gym at that time, right before COVID hit. And probably about a month in, they started shutting down gyms. So I was like, okay, this isn't meant to be. So 2021, I get my first big girl job, get big girl money. So I'm like, we're going to go hire a personal trainer. So I go to a local all women's gym and I jump in with the owner because she seems like she's the most educated and she displays all these pictures of these female bodybuilders. So I was like, I want some of that. I want to be that. So let's go. She's like, are you sure? Because it's a lot. Yeah, let's go. So jumped in like that. First prep, did not know what I was getting into. But I have learned so much along the way, and it's been a really fun journey. I've enjoyed it.
Well, bodybuilding is a very tough process, and most people don't understand it, especially if you're not the type of person who have the discipline or the mindset or also the consistency to do it, because it takes a lot. And I know saying that pandemic, that was a bad time. It's going to be this coming end of this month. It's going to be 5 years. My mother had gotten the virus. She was my mother. I loved her very much. I took care of her, and it was during that time when I lost her during the pandemic because she had gotten the virus, and it was tough. I mean, a lot of people were going through a lot of hardships. What were you doing at the time, before everything started out?
Okay, sorry, it froze up. So at that time, I had just accepted a director's position at my local homeless shelter. So I wanted to make a few changes. I got to the point where whenever I was working at the jail right before my director's position, I was eating a bacon biscuit every morning and drinking me a Mellow Yellow, and that was breakfast. If that tells you anything about my nutrition, like my health status, I was living life on the edge of a heart attack. So I want to get more healthy. So that's how we do it.
Yeah, I understand you. I had my fair share of bacon and biscuits and sausage and biscuits. Like I said, I grew up country too, and
Oh, yeah.
I had a heart attack. I mean, it was about 10 years ago when I had my first heart attack, and now I have a pacemaker, but I'm doing a lot better now. It's tough to change those habits, especially for us who live in the South, because
Yep.
food is like the centerpiece of a family.
Oh, yeah. Like even I went to a get together this past weekend with my family. Thankfully, my mother understands prep because, she's been with me through this whole thing. So she understands 4 years in. If I say I'm in prep, do not throw that potato salad in my face. That is disrespectful. I love it. I will have some of it in my off season. Be patient with me. But that's one of the ways that we show love, and that's our culture in the South is, I'm trying to think. It was a couple weeks ago. I had an interview at a pageant, and somebody said that they wanted me to explain our culture. And I'm like, when I say this, you're going to laugh, but we have a very soup, bean, and cornbread culture. And they're like, well, what do you mean by that? And I'm like, it's a Southern hospitality. It's a let's share a meal. Let's have some family time. Like it's, if you don't live in that area, you don't quite understand. Am I correct on that?
Yes, ma'am, you're correct.
It's, like, if you live in the South, like towards like Florida or something like that, like you probably eat a lot of seafood and things like that. Us, we, the collard greens, the soup beans, we even do a little bit of barbecue, like we do the ribs, things like that. So trying to break away from that kind of eating it's almost going against your base instincts the way you've been raised.
hmm I know because when I was after my mom passed, I was, it was time for me to take care of myself. And
Hmm.
I was seeing the doctor and said, Mr. MacArthur, you're almost at 500 pounds. So I took a step back and said, you know what, I got to make some choices. I'm not perfect. I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder. I respect y'all diets and everything, but I couldn't do what y'all do. But I did make some smart choices. I was at my doctor's office. I'm at 405. And that's pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, because I was doing a little better, but then I had some setbacks because, I've got issues with my knees. I got bad knees like Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, I sometimes I'm a procrastinator. I kind of do things like, when I'm ready, but once I get my mind to set for something, I
Hmm.
try to be consistent and follow it. We have here a guest here in the comment section. We have here. This is don't know how to say his name. Is
Yeah.
who's that?
I'm not sure. Tamid? Am I saying that right?
I think it's to me. I thought. Well, you say yeah. I thought you knew him. To me, Mia.
No, what see, I saw the comment about gumbo, and I mean that's a whole culture too.
Yeah. Yeah, many times, like especially this time of year, you got Fourth of July around the
Mhm.
corner. You got some other holidays. It's time when people. I know a while back, my sister, she's my oldest sister. She had her birthday, and she had like ribs and sausage and everything. I mean, I eat all of it because I know I try, but I did take a little plate with me because I can eat later. So
And that's another thing too in Southern culture. They make enough to where you have to come home with a plate, and if you're turning down a plate, you're being disrespectful.
well, my sister, she wouldn't mind being disrespectful, because, but hey, we had a lot of people and family and friends out there. So, what was that experience like? And what's the organization that you compete in? And he's subscribed to. A lot of people may not know of it.
So I compete in the NGA, which stands for National Gym Association. So the way that I got brought into that federation was actually kind of by accident. I started working out at East Kentucky Barbell, which is a couple of miles down the road. It's a powerlifting gym, and it's really cool. Like they've got a lot of statement pieces in the gym, which is the reason why I chose to be there. Plus, it's close. Like it made sense. So I go there. I work with a coach, and he says, "Let's do the Tricky Jackson." Okay, cool. So I Google it and I look it up, and because I mean it's in Frankfurt. It was about three hours away from the house. So in bodybuilding terms, it's pretty close. So I look it up and it says NGA Tricky Jackson Classic. So I go to him the next day and I was like, hey, what is this NGA thing? And he goes, what are you talking about? And I'm like, it didn't say NPC, it says NGA. And he's like, there's no way. He's like, I think you read it wrong. And I'm like, no, let me show you. So I pull it up in front of him and he's like, I have no idea what that is. So I start doing some looking. And so when I start looking up the NGA, I come across two shows here in Kentucky. So the Tricky Jackson was listed as an NGA show, which means that he had transferred over to the NGA Federation. And then there was also one, I'm trying to think of the time of the year it was. I think it was the Kentucky Natural Classic was listed next. So I reached out to the promoter of the Kentucky Natural, which was Josh Miller, and he ended up being the chairman of Kentucky. So he was able to give me a lot of really good information. And all the stuff that I'd been looking into up until that point was MPC. Like I started looking up their bikini regulations, their shoe regulations, started looking up the cost of the shows, all this different stuff. So I'm going in completely blind because it's a completely different federation. So he walks me through all of these things. He gives me all the information that I need. And So when I decided to go to that particular federation, my coach and I kind of decided that, he wasn't really familiar with that federation. That wasn't really his thing. Like his work was more NPC, which I completely respect because he has an amazing amount of knowledge. So we decided it was time for us to part ways. So I started going to a different gym and I watched the Kentucky Natural Classic one weekend and I see a lot of girls that look like me. Like they're not all like super large and all this different kind of stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, I've got a lot of admiration for the ladies in the NPC, but you can't get there without years of work, maybe a little bit of enhancement, those things. But these girls, they looked attainable. So I set my sights on doing that. And it just kind of kicked off from there.
Yeah, I know everybody got to find their path. I know NPC is probably one of the biggest organizations, especially for amateurs.
Hmm.
There's also organizations like OCB, as PCA.
Hmm.
I think, especially with the natural, I think it's getting really kind of more attention because recently a show that's in Pittsburgh that's hosted by Jim Mannion, who's the head of the IFBB,
Hmm.
is the Pittsburgh Pro. They had a natural pro qualifier,
Nice. I
part
didn't
of,
know
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. It was part of the main show. But I think you have to do an OCB or no, you have to do an NPC natural show, a regional show to be able to qualify for that national pro qualifier. So, what was that experience like? Because you think about it, women who look more like you feel more comfortable. What's that? Think about it. That first time you're on stage and you be butt naked. What was that experience? Especially with I saw your husband Jerry. Was he there?
Hmm. So we actually competed together. That was the funny part. Um, we talked to Tricky, which was really cool because I was like, "Oh my god!" I'm talking to an IFBB pro. Like this is amazing, and like we're just sitting here chatting about show stuff. So he makes me feel like really at home. The registration process was easy. Like I didn't think anything about being up on stage in a bikini. Just because, like, I practiced so many times in my bikini. More of what messed with me my first show was when I got out there. So they do things a little bit different than the NPC. So the morning show is the determining show for your placement in the NGA. So with NPC, you'll do the morning show and you get a score for that, and then you do the evening show and you get a score for that. Well, in the NGA, the evening show is more of your individual routine. So you get to show off, have you built a routine that you'd like to show off, or would you just like to do like a model T walk, things like that? So I chose to do the T walk, and I got so nervous and I forgot what I was doing. So I go out there and I do a T of 3 lat spreads. And like I've got a picture of it just because like exactly. So I go out there and like I've got this cute little face on, but I go backstage and I said, "What the hell did I just do?" was it was mortifying, but it taught me a lot. Like, don't get in your head. I will say this too, like the crowd was way more inviting than I thought they would be. Like, they didn't know us. This was our first time up on stage. And they were shouting and hollering. I mean, like true Southern hospitality. I mean, like, I feel like I was sold from that moment. I'm like, okay, we're going to do it again, but we're going to do it better.
That's the thing. I mean, everybody has different experience their first time on stage. I know ladies. One lady told me one time her first show she had to get a little tipsy because it's like
Yeah.
and then also it's just about what makes you feel comfortable as a
Hmm.
competitor. As you grow and develop in this path. So, folks, while we got Natasha here, we're going to do this. We'll jump into her IG for a little bit. If you want to follow her, the link is in the description of this live stream. You can check her out, you support her. But guys, I have a rule, and I tell this verbatim. Guys, she got kids, she got a man. D-Pix, stop it. Get some help. Come on. I mean, I've been doing this. I've heard stories, ladies tell me stories, and it's crazy what some guys do. They don't care. They don't care.
Thankfully, we haven't had too much of that experience. Most of the guys that have sent me messages have been like really respectful and all those things. So I am very blessed on that.
Well, that's good. I good. I know Jerry don't want to be, in the streets beating some guys saying, I'm fighting for my love, my
For
woman.
real. We don't need any
Yeah,
of that. No catching charges around here.
no, no. So we're gonna jump in here IG right here. You want to follow her, check her out, and support her. Now, this is like a little story that I wrote up for you. This is here. The balance between competition and what's the try to see the words what's the word?
Camaraderie.
Camaraderie. Okay, okay, yeah, yeah. That's a nice little story. I mean, what was that feel like? You got interviewed by the person, and what was your thoughts?
So that's the funny part. I actually wrote that.
Oh,
So, I had wanted to be published in a magazine. I'd set my sights on that within like the past year. So I'm like, I'm going to send it to the president of the NGA. I'm going to see if she likes it because I know that we need a lot more perspectives from like our amateurs. So when I sent it in, she's like, I really like this. She's like, I'll use it. But so far, the things that I talked about in the article were how the NGA is very welcoming. Like I'm still friends with a lot of the bikini bodybuilders. Well, I'm friends with all the different divisions as far as our ladies go. But I know sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming just because like we feel like because we're in a division with each other, we probably shouldn't be friends. But no, I mean like I've got girls that I've been friends with for 3 or 4 years that I can send them a message and be like, hey, like I'm really deep in it right now. I need you to like help me bring it back. And they are so good.
that's good to find camaraderie in this sport. And here she is with her man there, Jerry. How long y'all two been together? When did y'all meet?
16 years.
Mm-hmm. Y'all still got
We
babies.
Yes, we are old now. We got a 10-year-old and a recently turned 7-year-old.
Oh yeah, y'all look so young, and y'all and the babies, and guys, she got a nice body too. But that's why I say,
I
guys,
mean,
be
I'll be
careful.
trying.
Like
That's
I
the
said,
goal.
I think everybody. When I say from my doing this content, everybody has different processes as they grow and develop as a bodybuilder.
Yes.
You have some women who are just naturally gifted, and you have others that they had to put a lot of hard work. Now, what show is this you
Mhm.
were with the crown and everything?
So I actually do pageantry too. Um, I went to Florida. Was that 2 weeks ago now? I think it was 2 weeks ago, and I competed in a pageant that the director is actually here from Kentucky. So I got to represent the Carolinas for that one. So funny how that happens, isn't it?
You're Kentucky, so you representing one of half of my area. That's South North Carolina. Must have.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's like I said, it's a different style compared to what I'm used to. I know other organizations do it. I think WBFF. That's another organization where they do like a lot of fashion and modeling and stuff like that. You
Yep.
know, and when's your next upcoming show? I know you're supposed to be competing sometime soon.
So I got back with my old coach because we kind of took a break. I needed a financial break, and she's got some personal things that she's dealing with. So now that she's been able to kind of get where she needed to be, we've decided to start working together again, and we're training for the NGA universe.
All right.
So
I just
that's like
go ahead.
the big show for the NGA. So a lot of pros go to that one. It's in November. It's down in Deltona, Florida. So I'm gonna shoot my shot in the amateur section and see what we can make happen.
Well, like I said, understand that that's one thing about bodybuilding. It is for anybody who gets into it and don't understand. There's a lot, just not just the physical aspects of the mental,
Mhm.
the financial part of it. It can be a lot. And compared to this is how I said it. But compared to the men's division, they got to wear a pair of banana hammocks and board shorts. That's about it.
Yep.
You ladies, it's like show day. You have to have your hair, your makeup, your posing suits. You have to present not just femininity, but masculinity.
And it's got to be a balance too, which I've learned. As simple as it seems for the guys, I mean, there's hardships for them as well, you know. Whereas we need to get down to about 10 or 9% body fat, depending on, like, you know, your body composition, your height, you know, all these different factors. You know, gentlemen, they're looked at and they're expected to lose down to 3, 4% body fat too. And, you know, the guys, we look at them more to come up with these elaborate routines. So I think it's just, you know, pick your difficulty.
Well, as me being a content maker on female bodybuilders, I don't charge much to the guys. Yeah. Because
I advocate for both. I can't help it.
nah. See, you know what? It may not be the '80s, but I'm down with the ladies. That's how I'm at. But yeah, I understand that it's just different aspects, especially men and women. Even though we share some biological commonalities, we do have difference. You know,
Oh, yeah, we
men. Yeah,
complement each other.
yeah, men can put out muscle a lot easier, especially if it's, you know, if you're not taking any kind of performance enhancers. It takes a lot more for a natural competitor compared to an enhanced competitor.
Mhm. It takes a lot longer. And that's the thing too. So like my first 2 years that I was competing, I had the energy and I had the stamina because I hadn't lost down quite enough yet. Now my first show I got down to 129. And that was probably like my best weight as far as show goes. And I've had a lot of trouble hitting it since then, I'm not gonna lie. But because I wasn't hitting that weight and because I wasn't getting that low down in body fat, I just kept doing shows until like I'd hit 2 years and I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get a little exhausted now. And people are like, well, I don't know how you did that for that long anyway, because even in natural bodybuilding, if you're checking all those boxes and if you're doing all the things to be truly competitive, I mean, a year is pushing it. And then you need to go back into your off season,
Yeah,
which
because
I learned that the hard way.
the body can only take so much. Especially
Yep.
like people think that a lot of these bodybuilders they all ripped and shredded all year long. They can't.
No.
You can't maintain that, you know, because you're really going to put strains on like your lungs, your kidneys, your heart. Recently, there's a young lady who passed away because she was, you know, because dehydration.
I've seen
And
that a lot.
yeah, that happens quite often. We see just had a lady who was murdered by her husband. That was crazy. But I think if you understand all the aspects of bodybuilding, from the exercise to training, the dieting is, I think, the most important part of it because
It is.
I've known competitors who tell me, George, even though I might take a performance enhancers or pads, if if I don't follow my program, stick to my
Mhm.
diet and my training, most people are not going to look like what I do. Because you just think
Yeah.
it's just I take pop of pills and you know you're gonna look like shit. Right here, you got my man here, KL the Wanderer coming through. He says, good evening, KL. Thank you for coming through, brother. Yeah.
So, like you were saying, it's not it's not anything more than an enhancer. So you can do all the workouts that you want all day long. You can do all the cardio that you want all day long. But if you're still eating like crap, and that's a lesson I had to learn the hard way too, because you know I've got a food addiction, and I mean you like I said earlier, you know I like my food, so I mean until I got my nutrition right, I sat there spinning my wheels.
So
Oh, yep.
yeah, you still there? Because
Yep. Did it freeze up on you?
no, I don't think so. Like you were talking, but then you stopped. You must
Oh,
have to.
oh, you're good. I was just saying that with without the appropriate nutrition, I mean, I was doing like 2 hours of cardio a day and I still wasn't moving. So it was like, you know, this is a very important piece that until you put that in place and get it locked in, you're just not going to have the results that you're looking for.
Yeah, that's the thing about that. You have to be persistent, consistent, and also focused when you are competing as a bodybuilder. We have here another comment. Shout out to my man KL. He says this. He says, "Food addiction is a motherfucker." I can tell you the truth. Yeah, being a fat man, I mean, it's just like there was a movie called New Jack City, Chris Rock. And sometimes
Mhm.
there's certain foods that you be liking, you acting like it be calling my name, man. It be calling my name. It be calling me, calling me. Like one is my favorite is Chinese food. There's a
Yeah.
place that's like about 10 miles from where I stay. It's a buffet. I was there earlier this month and I got myself 2 plates. I just had a doctor's visit. Everything was good, and I rewarded myself. I didn't eat all of them. I ate like one like part of. I think I lasted at least 4 days on it. I ate part of one day, part of the other day, and part of the other, and then I finished it off because it's just we smell something like like my mom used to cook, and I come in that
Mhm.
kitchen after work, and I just sit there and eat, but you gotta be smart about what you eat and how you eat.
I have learned not to judge people just based off of like nutrition choices because like there's a lot of folks that behind the scenes, I mean, they could be at home doing their best, like eating the boiled eggs, like and trying to figure out how to season the chicken to where like they'll like it more. And like they're trying. And I feel like effort means a lot. It's all about moderation.
Yeah, you got a man. Aside from man, K. He says this. He says, "I have a sweet tooth. Don't we all? I mean, I just, I ate before I got on. Like sitting there, like earlier, like I said, I was icing my knees because I had a shot and I had one of those little donut sticks for little Debbie's. I was eating that because and yeah, it's just like it's so tasting so good.
See,
So
it's so funny because like I was raised on, like I said before, snack cakes and a pop, that's how we grew up, you know what I'm saying? It was easy, it was quick. It's so much cheaper than to eat healthy, Mom would go to the store once a month just because like Walmart was so far away. It's like 45 minutes away from us. And, on a limited income, like my dad had disability because he got hurt. So we shopped once a month. Like if you needed to get the little odds and ends, there was a grocery store about 20 minutes away from the house. And like we would pick up little things like that to make like hamburgers or something like that. But I mean, nutrition meant nothing to me. It was survival.
yeah,
So I think that's,
that's how I
I
grew up.
mean,
My mother, she had to raise me, my brothers and sisters, and she had to stretch a dollar.
yep,
It's easy to get stuff like you can go to a store, it's selling bologna like 2 packs for $3,
yep.
or processed foods is just easy to get to. It's a lot more expensive to eat healthy, but it's better in the long run. But still, like I said again, not everybody can do what you do. So right now, are you a sponsored athlete or everything's on your shoulders?
Everything is on my shoulders. I have been blessed to be able to come across some friends who have been able to sponsor me. But as far as like a consistent sponsorship, you typically don't see that in our federation.
Yeah, that's the thing about just anybody, because unless you are a top level competitor, it's hard to find people that want to sponsor you, especially if you're not on social media a lot. That's one thing about it. Social media is a big thing. Everybody pays attention to it. There's some amazing people who have follow who are just top notch bodybuilders. Particularly one lady who I'm a fan of. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. I call her my girlfriend. Her name is Andrea Shaw.
Oh,
Oh,
she's so pretty. I love her.
yes, she is. Actually, this is a true story. I always want to bring this out because you know what? As my other guy would say, if you get it something, never do for free. And I often call this as my opinion. A friend of mine, her name is Eunice. She runs her own company called Bad Rap. They do clothing and promote women's bodybuilding. She was
Yeah.
at the 2023 Olympia and she ran into Andrea and she got me this issue. And what makes this why I need to put this, I need to put this in a frame or something, but I love it too much. I heard I love it. I call it George. And she took the time out and she autographed this for me.
Oh, that is incredible.
And I've ladies have become friendly with send me some stuff and say thank you for supporting. Because the thing is, y'all ladies, when you do sport, most everyday person has their idea what they think about women with muscle. Now you're not as
Mhm.
muscly and bubbly as some of the ladies I've seen and follow on social media, but still, I think the everyday person is always going to make comments like, "Wow, she trying to be a man. She got too much muscles. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're trying to be young." But that's the thing is, you're an athlete and you dedicate
Mhm.
yourself to a sport where there's not much recognition, not much money. I mean, you just do it for the love of it.
And I think that there's still a lot of misunderstanding as far as bodybuilding goes too. Like people could say that Andrea, like Natalie Colho, she's one of my favorite examples. I think that she is beautiful and she holds herself with such a poise and grace. Like it's the way that she poses. It's still so delicate and feminine, but beauty is in the eye of the beholder. There's going to be folks out there that are going to want the more natural, slim, not as filled ladies, and then there's going to be some that are like, the bigger the better, honey. Let's go.
Yeah, like I said, you mentioned Natalie Coelho. She is Dr. Natalie Coelho because she's been a couple of my live streams
Ooh.
before. Yeah, she got her doctorate a while back, and she's been a couple of my live streams before. I'm not a big fan of Natalie. I'm not a big fan, but I respect her work ethic and what she wanted about bodybuilding. Like everybody, like everybody. We got here shots from my man KL sticking in here supporting. He says this is Natasha. You ever tried plant-based food?
So I tried a plant-based protein cookie and I thought for sure it was going to taste like crap, but it actually tastes pretty good. The only thing is there's only certain flavors that I like. So I think what it all comes down to is you can make anything taste good with the right flavors.
Yeah, but sometimes with some plant-based foods, they do use more chemicals to make them look more like meat and transform it. Sometimes it's not always the best kind, but if you just eat like a good vegan kind of diet or maybe a little raw food, that's good. Here he goes. He's a hater. He says, oh boy, he's telling the story again. Yeah, I'm telling the story because you know what? I'm good at what I'm good at. And, and I'm just like I said, I got to toot my own horn. If I don't, who will? I got to promote myself, brother. Brother, don't be angry. Don't be mad. Don't be hating.
I
Also,
love
he
watching
says,
you guys.
yeah, it says he loves the freaky buff chicks. That's like AJ. There's a guy named AJ. He runs a channel called Female Body Channel. And he talks about the freaky buff chicks. And yeah, I like them too, but also I like ladies who have great condition, great shape, and great bodies. Also, there's one more from my man KL. He says, I like natural and sometimes enhanced chicks when they don't act up. Well, like I said, that's anything with any woman. Yeah, sometimes y'all women can be a headache. I'm thinking about writing a book. And the book, I got the name of it. It's a perfect name. You want the name of it?
I'm so ready.
Okay. Men are from Vulcan, women are from Klingon.
So I think your case study for this book needs to be a woman that is in prep. I think that in particular would be such an incredible study because we get so selfish and we get so I don't want to say angry, but like easily perturbed. It you have to have such a level of selfishness to a point that I can only imagine that I'm an irritation to live with when I'm in prep.
I've heard stories. I mean, you get hangry, you get tired, because even though you're eating, you're not
Mhm.
eating to fill your body. You're eating just to keep it sustained, you
Yep.
know. Then also, one thing I think, like I said again, a lot of ladies I follow are foodies. They love food. They love the taste of it. Like, share with me, with just me, Natasha. I'll kind of call you Natalie. What was that last thing you wanted after you last showed? That thing that you decided, that thing that was, as I often say this, make you stranger, but make you stronger.
You're gonna laugh at me.
No, I'm not gonna laugh.
Potato soup.
That's different.
You can't have white potatoes on prep. They don't serve a purpose. So I wanted that. I wanted it with sour cream, cheese, and bacon. Lord. Mm. The
Yeah.
last time I asked for it at Texas Roadhouse, they said they had taken it off the menu. I almost cried. It was so sad.
I think you used to have it Ruby Tuesdays. I never had it, but I know people told me it was pretty good. And one guy told me he's trying to give it to his girl. She got a little horny. But yeah, it's not the strangest. Actually, one of the ones that really got me. I remember one lady told me, said she loves sushi. I said sushi.
Mhm.
I'm like this. I've been poor, but never that poor to eat cold raw fish. That's just me.
I can't do fish. Like, we're supposed to do tilapia, once you get past a certain point in prep. And I can't. I can't. I can do all the rice in the world, but I can't do fish. I can do
Yeah.
crab.
Well, you can't have crab. That's not. You can always switch it up. Shrimp possibly. I think with shrimp.
I don't like shrimp, though. It's gummy. I don't
I
know.
just
I'm just too particular.
Yeah, I can tell you too. I'm a picky eater too. I don't eat a lot of things, but things I do eat, I do like. So here, my man KL, he said this. He says, "Potato soup. Forgive me. I live in Brooklyn. You live in Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Zoo. You New Yorkers, y'all different. New York City, New York City. Y'all different breed compared to us. It's just basically just like basic potato. You put it in soup and that's it. Like you ever like sometimes mom will take boiled soup, and boil some potatoes and get some iced potatoes and cut them up real good and boil them up. Put a little
Mhm.
butter and pepper on them. That's have some fried chicken with it. And maybe some green beans or something. But yeah, I think everybody has the things that taste like. So, is there anybody other than like you mentioned on Natalia, someone else you really are a fan of in the sport of bodybuilding, any division or even your organization?
So there is a lady that competes in the NGA, and I did an interview with her, and I've gotten to know her over the past couple of years, and her name is Martha. And I love to tell her story. She's in women's physique in the NGA. And so when I did her interview, she told me that she initially started out in bikini and she didn't do so well. So I went back and I found her pictures, and I'm like, you know, I don't see why, because like, was she a little overdeveloped for bikini? Yeah, maybe, but I didn't understand why she didn't do so well. But to be successful in NGA bikini, you have to have a certain bubbliness to your personality. And she puts her head down and she does the work, and like she doesn't feel like she needs to impress anybody. And I just love that self assuredness. So she gets the advice to switch over to women's physique. And she's like, I don't know about all that, but fine, whatever. I'll give it a try. It does amazing. I was there at the show with her, standing on stage with her when she won her pro card. I was like, "Girl, you're winning it." And she's like, "I don't know about all that." And I'm like, "No, seriously, like you're winning it. You look amazing." And
Mhm.
I love the girls who are humble. Um, there's a couple of ladies, I think like a county or two over from me, that compete in the NPC. I love their grind. Um, we have completely different goals, but at the end of the day, like there's certain things that just resonate with me. I It's not one thing in particular. It's everybody's got a gift. You just have to figure out what it is.
Mhm.
And I like the fact that these girls, they don't feel the need to impress anybody. I love it.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's good that you have, met people that you garner friendships with and earn respect of, and that's important. Sometimes women y'all can be a little catty. Y'all can because it could be competitive. Men we
Yep.
can we sometimes men we can be competitive, but still we can be have a brotherhood, and understanding. One of my jobs, and I mention this often in my interviews, my live streams, that I used to work in a strip club.
Hmm.
Hey, I used to work with, women from day and night. I used to work at a a plant with women. And it's good that you found somebody that you respect their worth ethic and their person. Because you know what? Bodybuilding can be competitive. I know, like, one, as you talk about Natalia, she has a very strong rivalry with the current physique champion, Sarah Vilgas. They don't like, I mean, they did this little thing together where they're sitting in a room and look like a mongoose and a cobra come together. It's you can feel the tension of it. But it's good
Almost like
that
a UFC fight, like the pre-fight where they're sitting there like head up against each other.
yeah. I remember this was it was on Tough. It was there was a fighter by the name of Rampage Jackson, and he was coaching one team, and Sugar Shane Evans was coaching Rashad Evans was coaching another team, and he made a comment said, Rashad said to Rampage, you're all day sucker, and Rampage says, I'm all day sucker, I'm all day sucker. Well, why did you let me then? So that was crazy. Here we got here from KL. He says this. He says, I tasted sushi a long time ago. It was okay, just don't eat it at all the time. Yeah, yeah.
I think it's
I
an
wouldn't.
acquired taste.
Yeah, unless you're Japanese or just somebody who loves it, I'm not that, and that's not me.
I've got a
So,
couple of friends who really like sushi and things like that. I think it's just you like what you like. And as we get older, like we start getting a little more exploratory towards, like different foods, different experiences, and all those things. But I mean, like, we are who we are down at our core.
hmm so
I'm just not a
what's
fish person.
uh, so like I said, are you interested in ever maybe becoming a coach or training with other people?
So it's funny. I actually got my CPT license. I want to say about a year ago. There's not a big market in my area just because like a lot of ladies are just now getting warmed up to the idea of bodybuilding or they already have a coach or like I've worked with a couple of girls on lifestyle things like establishing good habits and things like that, but I think I've still got a long ways to go. I'm open to learning. um I think that I have a lot of good information for ladies who are starting things, but I think as far as like getting real deep into prep and things like that, I know other folks that are more qualified, more educated to do those things. Does that make sense?
That's understandable because you know what, you're you're somebody who's brand new to the sport, and I
Yep.
think a lot of people want to go with somebody who's established, who
Yeah.
understands all the ins and out. But like I said, it's about taking the time, like starting out slow. What you're doing, working with people who want to do lifestyle changes, and that's good because some ladies who I know who do coach, they do a lot more lifestyle than competitors. Something they want to do competitors because competitors can take a lot of time on you, especially if you're a competitor yourself.
Yes. So that's the thing. I tried to navigate with these ladies through my own prep and I found that it was really difficult and like I would make sure that they were attended to, but it almost felt like it was getting too hard for me to maintain my balance as well. So I think, maybe down the road, maybe whenever I have more education, like and more experience under my belt. But what I enjoy right now is getting to go to like these pageants and these modeling events and all these things. And the girls will be like, oh my God, your shoulders look so good. And I'm like, let me tell you, honey, it's not hard. You can do it. And here's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's what gets them like interested in it. Because, a lot of these ladies, they're not looking to get huge. They just want to get like skinny or toned.
Tone. That's the thing is, you do need muscle to help you in your body. I used to lift weights when I was in high school. I loved it. It was great. But then I got to high school and got a job. I just didn't have time
And
for it like I
life
used
gets
to.
complicated.
Yeah. I mean, I was doing some workouts. I was doing when I was doing it, I was doing it at home, and then I was going to Planet Fitness. Then I had a setback, and right now I have a car that doesn't work anymore. I mean, right now I'm trying to save for a car. I just if you live out in the
Mhm.
country, it's hard to get around, especially if there's no like my man KL. He's in a big city like New York. There's mass transportation. But it's hard to get around. You have to use Pat and Charlie. That's your left foot, right foot.
Yep. Well, around here, like the only kind of public transportation that we have is, excuse me, it's medical related. So folks can get to their doctor's appointments and things like that. But as far as like a bus or even like Uber or anything like that, we don't have that here.
Yeah, I know. I just I got a program where which it's my benefits. 'Cause I get this disability, and I can
Mhm.
get a ride, medical ride. This is why I used this afternoon to go see my orthopedics and get some shots in my knee. 'Cause like I said, in my knees. So and you mentioned earlier that you worked in the jail.
I did. I worked in the county jail.
So, oh, you got some stories to tell, don't you?
It was one of my favorite jobs, honest to God. I worked in the men's substance abuse department. And when I first started shadowing there, I was 6 months away from graduating. And they said, well, the only person in this organization that is licensed to be able to direct you like through your practicum is over at the jail. And I'm like, I don't know about all that. And they're like,
Ooh,
well, you're going to have to go to be able to get your licensure. And I'm like, but I'm pregnant. I am due in June. Like, what if one of these guys hits me in the stomach? Like, honest to God, I'm such a horrible person, but you don't know what you don't know. But when I went there, I'm telling you, these guys would open doors for me. They would make sure that I ate all throughout my shift. The food there stank so bad. But they were like, if you're hungry, like, I'll share my food. And I'm like, oh, honey, no, that's yours. I appreciate it. And they're like, well, we just don't want you to get sick. And I'm telling you, some of the most humble, honest, sometimes to a fault, people, I experienced it there and I learned so much about addiction, like not just substances, but like the food addictions, the sex addictions, all these different things just from these candid men.
yeah. Truthfully, I have a problem with food addiction. One might have a problem with sex addiction. I don't know. I know, man. Maybe think about that episode of the Boondocks with the
Yeah.
Booty Warrior. Say they likes you, and they want you. They can do the easy way or the hard way. The choice is yours. Saying, Tom, that just it's just good. But I know sometimes I think a lot of those guys they're away from their wives and girlfriends and mothers, and when you see a woman, especially the mother in the mother way, they feel like what, maybe think about my girl or my mom. It's good. I think there are people who that make some bad choices in life, and
Mhm.
sometimes have to pay for those choices. Um, Shout out to my man Kev. He says, you don't have Uber where you at. Well, I did get a Lyft today. We don't have Uber, and there's another thing that's called seats. So if you have if you want to go to your job or something like that, they do that around here. But I think same thing. I
Yeah,
think it's
we
especially to you too.
We don't have anything like that. Like you're either biking it or you're walking it. Or if you're lucky, you may get a friend to jump in the back of the truck bed. I'll tell you this one. So my house flooded back in February. So I told my husband, I was like, let's drive down, let's see how far we can get, and we'll walk the rest of it. So we parked in a Wendy's parking lot because that's where the water started coming up. And literally nothing could get through it except for tractor trailers. And even then, I mean, like it was coming way up on their grill. So we walked it. Apparently, we figured it out. To get from that part of town to our house is 3 miles. And mind you, it's icing out, but I have to know about the house. I have to know. So we walk it. It takes us an hour. So we go check. We see that half of the house is underwater. So I was like, well, we can't get in there. Like we can't look at the damage because I mean it's just too covered up. It's too dangerous. Like you can't even get in there with wading boots at this point. So we start walking back down the road, and these sweet little guys, they stop on the side of the road and they're like, where you going? We're like, Coal Run, 3 miles away. And they're like, you ain't walking, are you? Well, yeah, we walked down here about 3 miles. They're like, well, you can get in the truck bed. We're going up that way. We'll take you to the Double Quick, which
Oh,
is like, the local,
it's like
depending on where
Seven
you are,
Eleven,
like yeah, or like a Quick Trip,
uh,
whatever. Yeah, it's
little
like
gas
your
station around the
basic
corner.
gas station.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I know.
So we get in the truck bed because I mean, like that was a very lucky happenstance for around here. Because I mean, like you don't have any kind of public transportation. You have the goodness of others. That's it.
This is true. This is a true story with me. This was like we one of the biggest hurricanes that hit in our area was Matthew. It just messed up
Hmm.
everything. We went where I live. It wasn't too bad, but my mom got sick during the storm. So that next day, I called ambulance, took her to the hospital, where they said that they were going to put her into a rehabilitation place for a while because they didn't want to send her back home because our lights were out. So I had to go there and stay with her. I had to find 5 or 6 ways to get around because there was trees knocked down, everything was knocked down.
Hmm.
Then when I got into Lumberton, which is our county seat, the water was up, and in my car, it just clunk on me. But this
Yeah.
lady, she saw me side of the road. She said, "I'm going to the hospital because she need to get some medication. You want to take a ride with me?" I said, "Yeah, I'll take a ride with you." And I stayed in a with the rehab mom. I was taking care of her in the rehab. I learned some things, so I was taking care of her. Yeah, you don't know what you can do when you put in a situation like that. I mean, KL, he says, when you say sex addiction, were they paying for sex? Well, most guys don't really pay. Most time it's just if they find somebody, you find a local, she's willing, you don't have to pay. But yes, in some cases, yeah, there's a exchange of money for goods.
Well, I think around here we refer to that more as like a not so much a sex addiction, more as a situationship.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I had one of those situations. It been a long time since I touched a lady. But but yeah, like I said, I don't where I live like you, I live in a very small town and I'm probably related to half everybody in it. So I gotta be careful. I don't want no kids with, playing banjos and messing with farm animals. Yeah, yeah, I gotta be careful. I remember one time, it's a true story. I was I was at my doctor's appointment. I saw this chick. She was holding this baby. And I said,
Mhm.
she got a, and then realized it was my first cousin,
Oh God.
my aunt's daughter, my father's sister.
Dang.
So yeah, but yeah, you got to be careful out there. But in this process, as you training now, would you feel like you think you might be interested in jumping over to maybe like ABC, the dark side? Or there's also OCB, which is also a natural organization.
I had considered both at one time. So, my big thing is I really love my NGA family. Like we've grown pretty close to each other. Nothing wrong with NPC. I mean, the caliber of competitors that comes out of that. I mean, like I'm just not sure that I could ever be that competitive. And it's the same with OCB, because they've got some local shows as well. But just there's a couple of different factors that go into that. So NGA is a little bit more affordable, so I can afford to do the travel and the shows, all the different things. So, like, I've got my bikini, I've got my shoes, I know how to do my hair and makeup, all of those things. But I'm just not sure how my physique would line up in with those things. And I kind of feel like I would be missing some of my community because unfortunately I would be comparing them. And there's nothing wrong with either one of their organizations. It's just a personal choice.
Yeah, it's about what works for you, how you feel, where you fit in. I know
Yep.
some ladies will eventually, it's about the process as you grow as an
Mhm.
athlete, and everybody's not at the same level. I think everybody trying to find the right place that works for them. And again, the financial part is a big part of it because I said again, y'all ladies, y'all have to have your hair, your makeup, your tanning. Those are expenses you got, and then when we go to the shows and we look at y'all, we don't understand that y'all hungry, y'all tired, y'all nearly dehydrated. You've been training all week, just getting ready for your peak week for the show. We see these
Mhm.
amazing bodies, and we get like, wow, this is that chick. Yeah, he like that. Say like, yo, who's that chick? Say that's my wife. That's Jerry. Say, hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's about understanding how far you want to go. Now everybody's gonna do like everybody else, like do like use performance enhancers or whatever, but it's about finding something that works for you. Here, my man KL, he says this. Yeah, George, you have to go somewhere else, meet other women, bro. Good God. Well, like brother, I don't have time. I don't have time for that. I mean, it's expensive to have a woman. I can ask Jerry if he's there. It's expensive to have a woman.
For
It's
real.
easy. It's easy just to be by myself. So, but like I said again, this is a sport that you really have to love when you get into it and understand the
Mhm.
factors like training. Like, what's the thing is you feel like is your best physical feature, especially when you're up downstage?
I know it's gonna sound really funny. I really like my shoulders. And, when I first started working with the NGA, I got a physique assessment and I got told that I had nice obliques, and that's something that really stuck with me. I I've been working for a couple of years to be able to build up my muscularity, and like I can see them starting to peak out now too. But it's really hard, and it's going to be for men and women both. I got a little bit of like body dysmorphia now from it, just because like I see what can be, and I'm like, we just need to cut down just a little more and just a little more and just a little more. And you're never satisfied, which is a good thing, but it can also be like really detrimental. And I think that's the reason why we need to make sure to take regular breaks. But the last time that I stepped up on stage, I was a little heavier, but I did what I went there to do. And that was the important part. But I noticed that my shoulders were popping real nice. And I'm like, I remember having a conversation with somebody about 4 years ago that I was like, "I'm never gonna grow out my shoulders."
They're like it's the gun show, like, hey, look at these. Oh, you're like, yeah, come on. So, what's the training like? Like, what's like often ask this? What's that thing you love the most when you're in the gym? That thing says, "Damn, I don't want to do this shit."
I hate Bulgarian split squats.
Oh,
I hate the hack squat. The last time I got on one back a couple of years ago, it made me cry. It was a whole situation. But, I've got to the point where I will kind of play with it now a little bit. I'm working my way up. But I hate Bulgarian split squats.
I could tell you.
With everything in me.
I interviewed a lady who turned pro a couple of years ago, and she's a Bulgarian. and she loves them because that's from her. She even told me how she was doing. She was her and a wellness competitor, pro, were doing them together. She's saying like the Bulgarian and the other chick was a Puerto Rican, and they just But it's the thing is, it makes you feel more complete. Work on those things that are your strength as much as things are your weakness. Because one thing with that, it helps with around about your quads. Also, it helps with right about the I think your
Your
hamstring
glutes.
tie-ins, your glutes,
Yep.
your hamstring tie-ins. It makes them look more put together. That's one thing you want to be complete. I have ladies tell me that their back is the thing they work on the most because, especially if you're doing figure or doing physique or any kind of division, you want that great back. It's gonna make or break how you do at a show. Um, Here goes my man. He says this. He says, Bulgarian split squats, it's tough. Yeah. I wouldn't want to do them because I got bad knees. But, but
So
yeah.
that's my thing. I've noticed that, like, I guess just because, like, I haven't practiced them enough, I notice that my knees buckle a lot whenever I'm doing them. And I'm not lifting that much weight when I'm doing it. It's just, it takes a lot of overall frame strength to be able to get the foundation down. And it's hard.
Yeah. But like I said, that's the thing is you have to work on those things that's hard for you to make you a
Yep.
better athlete, make you overall. I know you love your doing your shoulders workouts, but you have to work on those Bulgarian squat squats and those hacks because you might want to improve. Like I know the judges, they're very like the judges between different organizations, they have particular criteria. Like
Yep.
I talk about this on my channel where recently there was I mentioned how women's bodybuilding, women's physique in the NIFB is kind of like almost the lines are getting blurred. Where if you look at someone like Natalia or look at someone like Sarah, look at someone like Andrea or any other ladies, they look like they're almost similar in some ways. And that's the thing is, if you can bring and work on those certain things where which it fits within the criteria of what division you're in, then you wouldn't be too much of a mess up.
I saw a lady, I'm not sure what division she was in initially, but she had a lot of good muscle mass. And it was either about a year or two, and she built for a women's physique. And at first, everybody was like, she can't do it. Like, she's just too large and she doesn't have this symmetry. Well, I'll be daggone. She went and showed out either last weekend or she's going to show this weekend. And she made it happen. I mean, that's the whole reason why we call it bodybuilding. She may not have had it a year or two ago, but she made it happen.
Yeah, it's not like someone says. It's not bodybuilding. It's not body much as bodybuilding, but body breaking. And there's a new division that's coming up now in the NBC IFB. It's called Fitball. Excuse me. How put? I mean, it might be something that you might be interested in. I don't know if the GA would ever do something like that because it's more supposed to be like the idea of classic bikini. Here we got a
It's
comment from my man KL. He says, "This says Natasha, do you stretch or work on your flexibility?"
I have to stretch every time I go in to work out now. Like I'm getting older. I notice things locking up. I have arthritis. I mean, I'm in my early 30s, but I noticed that I had arthritis even in high school. So I mean, like it's a non-negotiable. Um, I don't do yoga or Pilates or anything like that just because like my time is so limited to work out that I have to choose like what am I going to work out? Well, I want to do my bodybuilding thing. So that's what I choose. But to warm up and to cool down, it stretches every time.
Yeah, yeah. It's more important when you start exercising. You want to stretch out. You want to, get your body ready and warmed up because it's especially when you're really working out. You never know. You don't
Mhm.
want to end up having an injury like that.
I mean, it used to be that whenever I'd come in, like when I first started working out, we did group workouts. And yeah, I've come a long way. I didn't, you don't know what you don't know. But, if you missed your workout time, that's it. You got to run. You got to hurry up and get to your station. So, I mean, like, I'm sure I did a lot of damage to my body then. But I've learned, show up with enough time, give yourself that extra few minutes. Cause I mean, like, it goes a long way, especially with like the knee sleeves. I need to get a new set. I haven't worked with them in a while. I can tell, like my knees pop and crack now. My shoulders, they're starting to kind of lock up a little bit.
You're just in your early 30s. I'm 50 and I'm already, like I said, I worked most of my life And
Mhm.
I'm telling you, it's arthritis is genetic in my family, heart issues genetic. It's just genetics is a thing. It could be just one of the things that can hold some people back. But as long as you understand the factors that involved with it, training, working out, your diet, and also being persistent, and your coach. What's your coach name again?
So I didn't say it. Her name is Andrea.
Andrea.
She
Oh,
Yeah, I know. So, she was actually an NPC competitor back in either 2005 or 2006. She was always in bikini. So, I mean, she understands the difference in between the different federations. A lot of what we work on in NGA bikini is a lot of what you would consider kind of like fit model, OG bikini. I mean, that's where she really started at. And then, she transitioned over, I want to say about 2007, 2008, or maybe it was after that. I'm not sure. Um, but she's experienced enough in both fields that I feel comfortable following her lead. And not only that, like she knows me in and out. So she knows when I need a little kick in the butt too. And I really
that's
appreciate that.
that's good. You have a good relationship with your coach. Andrea, not Andrea, but sometimes it's. I know a girl. I know a friend of mine. Her name is also Andrea. Her name is Andrea Sowers. She's an IFB pro bodybuilder. We got some plans. We're gonna set some up down the road. Cool lady. She go by the name Rip Vixen. Amazing lady.
Oh,
And
I like that name.
yeah. I'll send you a link. You check her out. And this is a process, to grow, develop, to work, dieting, everything's involved with it. And I think what you're like you said, talk about your earlier about your family, how they understand a little more. I have heard ladies who have conversations where their parents don't like, hey, the mom said, darling, I don't want you too manly, or the dad said, I already got a boy, I don't need another boy. And I know ladies that who got into it when they were married, and sometimes their husbands may not like it because they're changing what is considered the aspects of femininity.
So that's the cool thing. So me and Jerry have had talks about it, and he knows about my body dysmorphia and all those things. And I hate it, but he'll come up and he'll shake my stomach and he'll be like, "I love you regardless of how this looks." And I'm like, "I
Uh,
get that, but you've got to understand that in my head, I have things that I want to achieve. It's not that it necessarily devalues me. It's just I do not feel like I am satisfied until I've hit that mile marker."
mhm. You
Um,
want
but you were talking about family, so this is probably going to be like a little like what the hell? But the big thing that really messed with me when I started this, my grandpa is very traditional. He's in his 80s. He was born during the Great Depression, so like he's seen a lot of stuff. So when I first started doing this, his big concern, he's like, I'm just kind of worried about you walking around in a bikini and all this different stuff. So then I started doing the modeling and, I went up to New York Fashion Week and he's like, okay, let's be honest. He's like, at this point, he's like, you're not listening. So let me get through to you. He's like, I'm afraid you're going to get raped if you keep walking around like that. And I'm like, whoa, wait a second. I'm like, so first of all, I'm working on building my muscles. That way that kind of thing doesn't happen. Second of all, whoa.
to?
So it's been hard getting family to understand that, I'm trying to do these things to take care of myself. But I know that
Yeah.
they're coming from a good, caring place.
Well, I don't know. Saying that you want your granddaughter to get attacked and by the booty warrior,
I think that the problem is he still sees the little girl that he helped raise, and I totally get that. But you know, we're not living in the same times anymore. It's more socially acceptable for us to do these things than it was like I don't know. I know whenever I was growing up, it was still kind of taboo.
Yeah, because you remember back in the day, I think most people exercise first was working. You work
Mhm.
on a farm. That's exercise.
Yep.
Not running. On a treadmill or lifting weights. When we lift weights out in the country, we used to take an old broomstick and cinder blocks, and just that was our weightlifting. And then in my first gym, that was something I remember. True story. I was playing on my football team. I was a part of the backup squad, and I used to be one of the strongest guys on my team. And I was, by the time I was even 16, I was already doing 350 on the bench, and
Dang.
squatting like, yeah, 550. I remember one guy came up to me, one of the guys on the team said, "Yo, George, man, you strong." Said, he asked me something. Said, "George, you ever have some? You have some? Have some?" I said, "No." "Well, son, you cock strong." So that terminology when somebody says you cock strong.
Yep.
So but I think he's like anything, and like any father figure, you worry about your children, and especially your
Mhm.
girls. If it was a boy, you wouldn't say too much about it, but women, society see y'all as the weaker sex. But you got to think about it. Y'all the ones who bear our babies. Y'all the ones who take care of our homes. Most guys get sick. I remember when I was sick, my mom used to baby me, and she was sick. She had to keep on doing what she had to do until she, really got sick, but she couldn't do it anymore. And she still wanted to do it. But anybody who gets into sport understands the factors in it: the training, the regiment, the fundamentals, and also the consistency of being a bodybuilder. I, that's why I reach out to people and want to hear the stories, because you know what, this is something that maybe some, like for me, I got it just because I take care of my mom. I need some help with my, you know, her stuff and stuff like that. And then I've been a fan of, I've been a fan of bodybuilding for many years. One of my crimes, Natasha, I'm a mustard very small. I admit that crime. I just love y'all buff, beautiful women. Y'all psych me. But doing this content, I get to know everybody's stories, what they got them into it, what the passion for it, their drive. I've talked to ladies from top level Olympic competitors to ladies who just still just getting out the gate. And what people don't understand it, that's on them. But like I said, I gotta respect your passion and your determination, which is where you want to go as a bodybuilder.
I'm like you. I like hearing everybody's stories because, at the end of the day, what we see on the stage is amazing. But I want to know, how gritty is it to get there? Like, what was your personal struggle? How do we relate? Because, where Andrea may be the top in the world, she may look completely different than me, but at the end of the day, we may have those similar things, like you said, we're hangry, we're tired, we got those little nagging self doubts in the back of our head that's like, but can you really do it? Or in her case, can you do it again?
Mhm.
It's that's what makes the things relatable.
Yeah. And she can't help it. She's party too. I think she's so pretty. And
She is.
yes,
I
that's the
remember
thing.
seeing her and I'm like, that was not what I was expecting out of women's bodybuilding. Like, I don't know. There's certain features that, we associate with like masculinity, like the chiseled jaw and all those things, but like she still looks just like so feminine.
Yeah, that's one thing I think I would say she's the gold standard for her division. So, folks, we're not going to hold Natasha too much longer. She took the time out here and talk with us. It's nice to talk with a Southern lady. I get to do that every so often, every now and then, and to get the aspects of it. But anybody who's out there interested and maybe supporting her, maybe seeing her gain her goals, reach out and genuine interest. Don't be that. This has happened sometimes. Like, hey, Natasha, yeah, I saw those little pictures of your little suit. Yeah. So if I do something for you, no, stop it. You sick freak. This is what you want to say. Like, if I could do this, if I could sponsor athletes, if I had a company, I would say, Mrs. Tackett, we are interested in you about your story, how you got into bodybuilding, your path. We have a product that might work along your way, especially since you're natural. It's nothing too extreme, nothing
Mhm.
too, chemical. But if it's something that might interest you in your process, and maybe you can be one of our ambassadors for our company, we'd like you to join us.
See, you're so very well spoken. We love that.
Yeah, this is a true story. My sister used to do this because my older sister used to watch us when we look. Well, I was like next to the last, and what she did was because I was so running around the place, she tied me in a chair and made me watch Mister Rogers. It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood, children. Because I have people telling me, say, you don't sound like you're from the South. Yeah, well, it's getting there now. I'm getting older, but when I was younger, I could sound like I'm from New York or from Jersey. I used to tell people I'm from Jersey because my dad was living in Jersey when him and my mom broke up. But yeah, I think when I do this, I get to learn something about everybody who I do interview with. And I appreciate the opportunities they're giving me to share their stories. And, I like one thing I hope maybe in the future I get to go to some shows, and see some
Mhm.
ladies I've interviewed. I've done that a few years ago. I went to a show and met some ladies I got to interview. Hope to do it again, especially want to expand my channel. My channel hit 3,000 subscribers, and that's great. It took me 7 years to do this, and I didn't do it without paying. Like YouTube, you can pay in with a program for monetization, but I can't afford it. I live on a disability. I got a budget. I can't spend everything on money on everything. I got to be smart. But
For real.
yeah, but like I said again, women like yourself who understand what's involved in it, who are determined to make your gains, and even though it's a different organization, it's the organization that you love that makes you the better bodybuilder.
Well, we would love to have you. I mean, if you ever want to come to an NGA show, let me know. I will tell you like where the closest one is. I mean, it's all about that Southern hospitality. I really feel like you'll fit right in.
Well, ma'am, I really appreciate that. I will be happy to every chance to get to. I'm just a poor man. I gotta do the best I can with what I got. But
I love
I
that.
do, I do appreciate when you ladies, reach out to me and want to share their stories, and and just the ladies I've gone friendships with and others. You know what? I respect their passion for the sport. So, ma'am, before we let you go, we have anybody you want to shout out to?
Oh God, I don't know. Um, my family for always supporting me and dealing with my hangry ass, and um, my coach, of course. And I've got a very special mentor that has helped guide me through a lot of different things. I won't say who it is, but they know who they are, and I really appreciate all of the guidance and patience. And all my friends that have helped see me through like all the mental difficulties.
Mhm.
That's where it's all at. And apparently my cats.
Yeah. Uh, Yes, yeah. You can't forget the Jerry and the kids, because you know what? I know kids. Kids not gonna eat everything that mommy eats. And mommy gets
You
angry
would
and
be
say,
surprised. They will take my turkey meat and they'll make it into a taco bowl. Like I'll warm up 4 or 5 ounces of my turkey meat and they're like, "Oh, thanks, mom," and they'll snatch it. And I'm like, "But I only have like 2 pounds of that, right? Like that's not gonna go very far."
well, children. I never had any, but they help raise my nieces and nephews. I understand that. Here we are here from a man, KL. Give me some advice. I appreciate brother for it. Says, yeah, he needs to go to NGA. I mean, like if things get a little bit more financially settled for me, I might check it out. If someplace, where I can get back and forth. Like I said, I don't have a car. Might
That's
do a
okay.
rentals.
We'll figure out something, or we'll get you like a live stream link or
Y'all
something
do,
like that. We'll get you
y'all,
involved.
y'all do live streams?
It depends on what show. So, the show we have in Lexington typically does a live stream. Let me check out the one for October. I'm probably going to be going there and either like helping out with the show or like watching my friends or something like that. And if they do, I'd love for you to watch it and get your
All
opinion
right.
on it.
All right, send me a link to the organization, and if they do a live stream, I do watch it. I know my friend, we were talking about doing, because you can't show too much live stream stuff because copyright infringement and stuff like that. But we were thinking about doing a show coming up. I think in a couple of weeks. I think in Chicago, we might do a live stream, critique of it. Chicago Pro. I know a friend of mine. His name is Big Keith Williams. He's IB Pro bodybuilder. He's going to be doing that. Him and his wife, Tina, also going to be there. But yeah, I
That's a
mean,
really good show. That one and the Pittsburgh one are probably some of my favorite ones, and the Mile High.
yeah, my personal favorite is the Rising Phoenix. It's strictly
Mhm.
the ladies. But also the Triple O Dynasty that's promoted by Andrea and Sid Gillen and Whitney Jones. And also I like Chicago Pro in Tampa. Maybe in the future I get to go with some of them. Just gotta find a way. Gotta make it work it out. Gotta work it out.
We'll have to get together and start budgeting and brainstorming on how we're going to get you down there.
Well, I appreciate it, madam. I really thank you. So, folks, we do appreciate all my guests that were here. Shout out to man KL and all the others who watch this live stream. Support Natasha in her upcoming show. Reach out in genuine interest, but guys, don't be that weird guy. Don't do that. Don't. I know you love these buff ladies, you just love ladies in general, but come on. No, you get more with a silk glove and then with an iron fist. I know what you do in that iron fist. So, and before I let you go, I'm sorry. Yes, the car says
No,
I
you're
want
good.
to. I want to tell you one more time, Natasha. I want to tell you again. You are beautiful. Oh, Natasha, I'm just a dog chasing cars. I don't know what to do if I get one. I'm sorry about him. He completes me, so I got to be careful with him.
We love it.
So yeah, well, madam, I wish you best of luck and all. And shout out to the Jerry and the kids and everybody that's in your life, and hope that maybe might get you to come across the other side.
We'll talk about it. How about that? Let's revisit it in the future.
Yeah. So here, folks, again, I'd like to thank my guests that were here. Thank the lovely Mrs. Natasha Tackett. All who watch this video, comment, subscribe, check us out. This is from man Squid Bubbles. He says, thanks. I appreciate you, man, for coming through. And anybody who wants to support you, say, reach out in genuine interest. Don't be that weird guy. Anyway, folks, good evening. It's your man, all the way George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk. Like, don't like, subscribe. Good night, good luck, and God bless.